and welcome to this first session of the VIP Talks. I'm Nicolas André from VIP District. I'm the HR Solution Director for the organization, and I will be presenting today my dear friend Mauro Delgado, who is a certified coach working with Forbes 500 companies, supporting them into their change management and other, I would say, coaching and development topics. Today, we'll see mainly what are the barriers during transformation and change under two angles, under the organization level and under the individual level. Just before we start, I would just like to give a few more minutes to let people join. Be ensured that you will receive the recording and the slides after this presentation. And yeah, if you can just bear with me 1 or 2 more minutes. I see people are still joining. So just to make sure everyone can enjoy this session all together. Obviously, if you have any question during the session, you have the chat option in the below part of your screen. And we will answer to your question mainly at the end. I know Mauro has some tricky questions for you all. So please make sure to interact with his questions to make this session as lively as possible. We'll just get 1 more minute and then we'll start. Just for those who are joining actually right now, we are just waiting a few more seconds to let the last people join this session before we start. I love this awkward silence. All right. Okay. Let's start now. So thanks again to everyone who's joined. Once again, I'm Nicolas André from VIP District. Mauro Delgado will be our speaker and presenter today. He'll do most of the job. I'm just here to introduce him. Once again, you will receive the recording and the slides of this session in the coming days. We're very happy to have you join here this first session of the VIP Talks, which we pretend to be an inspiring session on a general topic covering human resources, covering coaching, covering organizational and personal development. This is why for this session we have Mauro, which is a certified coach, and I will no longer speak and give you all the floor, Mauro. So welcome, Mauro, and thank you for being here with us today.
Thank you very much, Nico, and thank you to all of you because I have this opportunity to be the first one in these VIP talks. So that's also nice. And hopefully, yeah, we will be sharing the next almost 1 hour together, and we will be talking about change and change management. Ooh, that's always a big topic, and yeah, so let's go, and let's make sure we add some value here today. So first of all, let's look at quickly what we are going to be looking at in the next 50 minutes that we will be together. So basically, we are going to be talking about challenges of organizational change. So why most organizational initiatives fail. And also we're going to be looking at two different approaches to successfully navigate this change. And that would be an organizational approach and also an individual one. So I think it's really important. And in my experience, I will share in a moment, I find this to be very successful, very helpful. At the end of our session today, you will leave with a better understanding of why most change initiatives fail in most organizations, and a way to effectively guide change management in your own organization. So for those of you who do not know me, maybe it's good to take just 1 minute to quickly share a little bit about why I am the speaker today about this subject matter. So very quickly, I was born in a small country in Central America. I went to the United States when I was 14 years old. I did my high school and college studies there. That was a new world to me. Just imagine small country, then going to the US. When I was 22, I came to Spain, a different world again, and I started my corporate career here in Spain. And I went from being a manager to an area manager in Spain, an operations director, and finally working at a European level as an operations director also for a big corporation. And I'm sharing that because I have been living and going through change in many of these instances and companies I've worked for. I have been promoted different times. I've been laid off because there was a company leaving Spain in this case. And I've been part of important changes in different organizations throughout my own career. Now, in the past 7 years, as a senior consultant for a global consultancy firm, I have been working with executives from S&P 500 organizations and helping them navigate through change. As a consultant, as an executive coach, and a facilitator, I have been doing that. And here in this slide, you see a little bit of the highlights of my career and some of the certifications and coaching work I've done with teams and individuals. Yeah, so just to show you a little bit of some of the companies, executives I have worked for and which companies they belong to. And I'm finishing with my talking about me, but this is what makes me someone who can probably and hopefully add value to you all. This is some of the companies I have worked for, or executives anyway. And yeah, so enough about me. Let's now jump into the subject matter of today's conversation. So I am an executive coach. So yes, I'm going to be asking some questions, and hopefully this will be a more dynamic interaction within us. So I have a first question here to ask you. So when you think about change in your organization, how do you feel? What is your associated feeling to change in your organization today? So I want to ask you to please look at the scale you're looking at here from 1 to 10. I'm going to ask you in a moment to please just put a number on the chat, and we will all be looking at the chat in a moment. And I want you to answer these questions. Would you avoid change if you could in your organization right now? If you would avoid change, if you could, that would be numbers 1, 2, and 3, probably. Or do you actually like change? 8, 9, and 10. Or are you actually indifferent to change? So may I ask you to please just think about it for a moment and put a number in the chat. And when I say yes, could I ask you to please share that number? And as we all look at the results, I want you to see what comes up. So let me invite you now to participate and bear with me here. You will see some value in the answers you give and the information we get. So can you all please just write on the chat, write a number from 1 to 10. How do you feel about change? Would you actually avoid it? 1 to 3. Do you actually like it? 8, 9, 10. Or are you indifferent to it? So please answer in the chat now. I will give a few seconds so we can look at it. Oh, Nico, I guess everyone is able to use the chat, right?
I guess so. I think people can. I see people are.
Yeah, someone is trying to hold on.
Yeah. Okay. Claire, I'm just going to give you a voice. So you can speak if you want. Hi, Claire. Are you not able to write in the chat? If you can.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
No, I'm unable. It says the chat's disabled and I'm trying to able it, but
Let me check. Let me check if we can. Oh yeah, okay. So okay, the chat is. I get some I get some numbers yet. I get some number and I get people writing in the chat. But it's just that you cannot see the answers. Only us. But
Yeah. So it would be good if it is if everyone is able to look at them. Yeah.
yeah, I'm not sure.
Okay, if you are seeing them, Nico, let's not waste time with that. Maybe you can share with us what are the, just speak out loud the numbers you're
Yeah,
seeing.
so I've got a
Yeah.
9.
Okay.
I've got my 8, and I've got another 8.
Okay.
So it seems like you're able to send your answer.
Okay, that's okay. Let's not waste time with that.
Yeah.
Just for everyone to know, I mean, this is not the first time I ask for this exercise, and 99% of the times I get the same, which is the following. I'm pretty sure, you will agree with me that not everybody gives the same number. Typically, I get from 3 to 9. Any number from 3 to 9, I get the most. Yeah, I get some 1s and some 9s and 10s, but most of them are within the range of like 3 and 8. Okay, so basically the message here and what I want you to pick up from this, and please, just believe what I'm saying, right? I've done this exercise many times, and people answer differently. So what I'm trying to say here is, we all look at change, we all feel about change differently, and that already is an important thing to consider, because how to manage people, because at the end of the day, in any organization, it is people doing activities, right? And when we manage change, we're talking about managing people, and people are different, and people will react differently to change. So it is important at an organizational level, at a team level, but also at an individual level, to understand that people are different, we react different to change. Okay, so I'm not going to ask you to write on the chat again because we cannot see the answers, but how do you feel about this picture here? When we are navigating change, what are the feelings? What are we focusing on? How, does everyone react differently? What are your thoughts on this? And don't worry about writing it on the chat. Just think about it for a moment. Here's the thing. When we talk about change, nowadays we live in a VUCA world. So I'm pretty sure many of you coming from HR, you've heard about this acronym. We live in a VUCA world, which means it's a volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous world, right? So we really need to understand what change is and how to better manage it, and so that we can navigate that change and actually come out successful of any change that we may go through, right? So change may go under different names, but let's first talk a little bit about what change means, and also change management. So basically, change, when we talk about change, we're talking about when a company alters a major component of its organization, culture, technologies, or infrastructures it uses, or maybe its processes. When we talk about change management, we are talking about a process of guiding organizational change to a successful resolution. And that's what we're going to be focusing on right now. So again, change efforts may go under many different names, like cultural change, maybe re-engineering, right sizing, right? Turnaround. It may go under different names, total quality management, but in almost all cases, the basic goal seems to be the same: to make a fundamental change in how business is conducted in order to help cope with new challenging market environments, right? Now, what happens though when, with most organizations, when we go to these change efforts, what really happens is that 70% of all transformation programs actually do not succeed. Now, as you can see here from a McKinsey & Company study, and there is a recent one from Harvard Business Review also, actually let us know that 70 or more % of most change efforts actually fail. But why do they fail? That's an important thing to understand now. So it is about employee resistance to change. That's the number one reason why they fail. So 39% it is because of employee resistance to change. 33% would be because of management behavior that does not support the change. So those two are the most important ones. Now, let's now look at an approach. How can we think about the successful ones? So, yeah, by the way, let me share a little bit about this, the 30% that did succeed in managing change. The most general lesson to be learned from the most successful cases is that the change process goes through a series of phases that in total usually require a considerable length of time. And also, skipping steps creates only the illusion of speed and never produces a satisfying result. These are the learnings that come from McKinsey, but also, as I said before, the study on Harvard Business Review about it. A second very general lesson is that critical mistakes in any of the different phases can have a devastating impact. So it is important to understand that change is not an event, it is actually a journey. It takes time, and there is there is different steps that we need to take, and we need to make sure that all of them are actually taken. So, okay, let's look now at some specifics about why. So let's be more specific about why those change efforts do not succeed. And we are already going to look at a framework, let's say. We're going on the organizational approach now, as I said. So we're going to look at a framework that considers 8 steps. This comes from John Kotter, a Harvard professor, that already in, I think it was 1996, he wrote a book on organizational transformation and change and how to better approach it. And I'm going to look first, and you are going to get the slides, so don't worry if you think about taking notes. You don't need to. You will get these later. So first, I want you to see the typical pitfalls. Okay, what are the typical pitfalls, mistakes organizations make when working through managing this change? So number one would be failing to create enough sense of urgency. If I, as an employee, if I, as a manager, if all the executives in the organization do not have a sense of urgency for the change, that's a step that really will not help the change management process. You can have a great program in place for that change management, but if there is no feeling of urgency for that change, that's not going to work. Second, not forming a powerful guiding coalition. That means that you cannot do it alone. You need at least 75% of the executive board to be on board with the change. And creating a powerful coalition is a very important step in order for that to be successful. So let me quickly go through the other ones. So failing to establish a clear vision, a vision that you can explain in no more than 5 minutes, that is clear for everyone and it has a strategy in it. That's also very important, but failing to do so, again, does not help the change management. And then under-communicating is another pitfall, right? So having a meeting, sending an email, and doing a couple other activities would be great, but not enough. So it is important to really over-communicate, I would say, during a period of time, and in all different instances, one-on-one, weekly meetings, monthly strategic meetings, also any opportunity you have for communicating, it's important to do so, right? It's really important. Many times after many months of going through a change process, you find people that they really don't know what the change is about. They really don't know what they should be doing. So again, over communicating tends to help a lot in that regards. And then not empowering others effectively to act on the vision. That means not removing obstacles to the vision, not realigning incentives and performance appraisals to reflect the changed vision. That also is something that if not done properly, again, will not help the change management to be successful. Number 6, failing to plan short-term wins. So it is important to actually do plan for the short-term wins, so people see that the change is taking place, that we can actually see some of the wins from that change. That tends to again help people understand that there is something going on, it is working, and we don't live up to chance these successes. We need to plan for them. That's basically the main point here. Number 7, not consolidating improvements and producing more change. So declaring the war won too soon. So maybe we've seen a couple of things work and then we go, okay, yeah, kind of the change is there, right? And we can say, yeah, we've succeeded at it. Well, actually, like I said before, change is not an event. It takes a long time. It takes all of these different steps, and it's important to be aware of all of them. Finally, not anchoring changes in the organization's culture. Again, we're talking about behavior. When we talk about changing behavior in people in the organization, it takes time. We just need to really be keen about how we approach that and how we manage that with people.
Mauro, if I may, because I really like this slide, I would just like to give some personal experience on point, especially 4, 5, 6. So point 4, I mean, under communicating, I really totally agree with you that we should over communicate. And for example, right now in VIP District, we are setting up a new set of values. And not only do we communicate them, obviously by email, through our intranet, we also have a dedicated platform where we push the information, but also we did something which can sound easy and logical, but not everyone does. We posted the values on the walls. So you see them every day, every morning. So it really stucks into your head. And I think when it comes to change, as you said, I mean, the first step of change is knowing about change. And knowing about change comes with this communication. So I really like this kind of pitfall, because I think people tend to think that it's just throwing the change and people will embrace it. It doesn't work that way. Second one, regarding incentive, we had this client, and I really like this idea. They are bus drivers, and they had this new strategy around being, I would say, a better company respecting the environment. So they set up a set of incentive for the bus driver for eco driving. So basically, drivers would get direct recognition if they would drive smoothly, if they would get less accident, which also was better for their own health, and was better for the company because they would save on gasoline, but also be better as an organization because they would save on CO2 production. So I think that's also a very good one to see that if you want to create change, you have to get your people with you in this change. And sometimes people move by recognition, by rewards also, a bit the carrot and the stick. And the last one, I think those short-term wins also are very important, is recognize, reward people who embrace the change, reward people who make a difference into your organization when it comes to have a different behavior, a different type of writing, a different type of communicating. Because those people then also will become ambassadors and they will drive the rest of your organization into this change. If I'm not wrong, Mauro. Sorry, that was a little insert because I really like this slide I told you yesterday, and I just want to share these little stories with you. Thank you.
Actually, thank you, Nico. Thank you very much because there's nothing better than real life examples sometimes, right? So theory is nice, but it's even better when you can see it in real life. Absolutely. Actually, we want new behaviors in people, and we need to think, and we will go in a moment to that individual approach, right? This is organizational approach and some steps that are key to manage that change. But as you're sharing, I really need to feel that I want to do the new behavior. I want to behave in that new way, and rewards, recognition, incentives, all these type of things are key, actually, are really important, and so that change actually happens, right? Okay, so we just looked at the pitfalls. Now let's look at actually what are the 8 steps John Kotter, as I said before, suggests for us to follow in order to manage change properly in an organization. So here are the 8 steps. And basically, as you can see here, it's on each step is the opposite of what I was saying before on the pitfalls, right? So creating a sense of urgency is number 1, which is really important. As we can see here, there's 3 main areas. So one would be creating the climate for change. So by creating an urgency for that change, a coalition and a clear vision, we are creating the climate for change. And then we go to engaging and enabling the organization for that change. That's when communication, empowering, and creating short-term wins comes into place. And then finally, implementing and sustaining that change. That's really important to do. And again, you will get the slides. You don't have to take notes on this, just so you see now what the 8 steps are. So I'm going to very quickly go through them so you understand. So if you are navigating change, by the way, in your organization right now, think about which of these steps are already in place. I'm pretty sure when I do this with some corporations and we go through the assessment of what is going on, some of these are already in place, but maybe not to the level that they should in order for that to be effective. And some of them are not even in place. And if you ask managers, many times, I remember a conversation I had recently with a manager of a big corporation, and she was talking about, my boss's boss changed, I don't know, 6 months ago. And 2 months, my boss now is not there anymore. I have a new boss, right? They're going through a lot of change. And to see how that manager felt about not really understanding what was going on, what the change was about, and how she could add value, she was really frustrated, right? So how can that happen? That happens. And again, following these 8 steps can help you a lot in really reducing this type of incidences with people not really understanding and then the change not happening, right? So again, very quickly, creating a sense of urgency. On this one, I've highlighted in each of the different steps what I feel, everything is important, but that's the most important. So getting 75% of managers to feel that the status quo is actually more dangerous than changing. That's really important. When you get that, that's when people feel and have that sense of, okay, we need to change. We really need to create that sense of urgency, right? Now, when you have that, it's important to form a group with a shared commitment and enough power. That's the guiding coalition. By the way, this guiding coalition, it's important to understand that it grows as the change management evolves and develops through time, right? The bigger, the better. Establishing a clear vision. Again, you should be able to explain it in 5 minutes, be really clear, and you have a clear vision of the new situation, of the change already in place. Number 4, sharing that vision for buy-in. So really communicate that vision and strategy in all possible ways during enough time and formats and until you really know that people get it, they got it. Important to walk the talk. And also look out for those people who can actually be leaders from the coalition, right? You need to be looking at people who actually are embracing change faster. There is always like that question I asked in the beginning, right? People asked, they give different numbers. So people who really love change, you don't really have to do a lot of work with these people. They really embrace change and they help you. They can be the ambassadors, as you were saying before, Nico. and that's really good. But some people need more time. Some people just, you know, it is human nature that we try to avoid change many times, right? So we need to work with these people in a different way.
And Mauro, if I may, I just have a question for you. How many organizations do you know ask their people how happy they are with change before doing change? So they can, just what you did with us. I mean, how do you feel with change? So actually the organization then can adjust a bit the communication depending on easygoers, which they will embrace change easily, and reluctant people, which are most of us at the end of the day. No one really likes change at the end, and then try to support more and to focus their effort on those people. Do you know organization would do that? Because personally, I don't. And if someone in here listening, because no, the chat is working. Sorry for that before. If you guys know a company that actually ask their employees how they like change before doing change, please share. And Mauro, if you have any idea, never seen that before.
That is a great question, Nico. Very good question. And you know, I have been really lucky. As I said before, I work for a big firm, consulting firm that you know, they get you know, the biggest clients in the world, and you know, I don't get those clients. I get the chance to work with these big clients because this big firm, you know, contracts with these big corporations, and so I am part of a bench of you know, professional coaches and executives who work with these people. And so to your question, how many? I don't know how many there are out there, but I can tell you one thing that it comes from my experience. I understand why big corporations who have been the best for many years continue to be the best. And you know why? Because those are the organizations that are doing this. When I go into these programs where we are helping executives navigate change, they are doing this. They are really working at an organizational level, but also at an individual level. And this is why also my approach today to this conversation you know, goes along the lines of, you know, organizational and individual change. So how many, I don't know, but the big ones, and I showed you the slide before with all the big corporations I'm working with, most of them are. And, you know, of course, if I'm in, by the way, as an executive coach, you know, we are working individually with people, asking them, understanding how they feel, how they see the change and what they may be needing. And by doing that individual work, you can help them navigate that change much better. So yeah, I would say all the companies that survive and thrive, and you know, people are happy to work there, and I think they are doing this. Okay.
Right, thank you.
So I think I was number 4, sharing the vision, I think. So empowering others to act on the vision. So important, as Nico shared before, also changing the structures to adapt to the new vision, align the incentives, increase risk taking. It's important to work on the culture, right? Again, how, you know, how things are done around here, and how are we rewarding that also is important. So planning the short-term wins, again, plan performance improvements, plan them. So make sure that there are some quick wins along the way. And also make sure to recognize and reward responsible parties. So people who are really embracing that change and doing it right, make sure that they get recognized and rewarded. So consolidating improvements and producing more change, number 7. So basically increase the credibility from early wins and change the systems and policies and what's necessary to align with what's happening, right? And finally, articulate the connection between new behaviors and corporate success. So that's anchoring the changes in the organization's culture. So that's basically the organizational approach. We have 8 different steps. I love the fact that it takes in consideration, you know, the differences between, you know, teams and people, and navigating emotionally also what's necessary to successfully manage that change. Okay, so now maybe we want to go to the individual approach. So what do I mean by that? You know, when we manage change, we take an organizational approach and we follow, for example, right? It's not the only one, it's one of the top, and one I've seen many big organizations use, these 8 steps of Kotter for managing change. That's organizational approach. What about the individual? And like I said before, with that question I asked, how do you see change? Now there we need to, here's an approach you can use, Kubler-Ross model, which basically talks about the different stages we as individuals go when we go through change. So first there is shock, then denial, then frustration, then depression, then experiment, decision, and integration with the new change. So understanding each of those different stages is really important. Why? Because as a manager, just think about this, and I deal with these type of situations constantly with many managers. As a manager, I have a team of, let's say, 10 to 12 people, okay? Some people, after explaining why the change is there, after the vision is clear and I'm communicating it, people are at different stages. Some of them may embrace change very quickly and say, oh, okay, I mean, it's not that I love it, but let's go, let's do it, and I'm with you, okay? Tell me as a manager, what do you want me to do? Let's go. But some people may already be, may still be on the shock or denial or frustration phase. Depending on the phase they're in, we need to manage them in a different way. We need to understand and see that actually we go through change at different speeds and we need different things to go through change. So again, this approach, basically what I'm saying is be aware of individuals, manage individuals and in a different way because they need different things. And if we approach it that way, it's again, it will be more successful for us managing that change with our team or the different teams anyway at an individual level. I want to show you quickly this from McKinsey & Company again, influence model with 4 building blocks. So think about you as a person, right? What they say is, I will change my mindset and behavior, which is what we're looking for, right? For that change to be successful. I will do it if, 4 things here, these 4 colors. If I see my leaders, colleagues, and staff behaving differently. So I will role model them, right? I will change my mindset and behavior if I understand what's being asked of me and it makes sense. I will change my mindset and behavior if I see that our structures and processes and systems support that the changes I am being asked to make, right? As you can see, this all aligns with what we were saying before about the 8 steps of change from Kotter. And now I'm talking about the individual level, and Kubler-Ross, which I saw before, also adds value in this sense. So I will change my mindset and behavior also if I have the skills and opportunities to behave in the new way. You have an explanation of why that works. So there is science behind this, of course. And then by taking care of these 4 different aspects, again, it gives you leverage points. It gives you areas to specifically work on, and so that people are being supported where they need. And again, people are different. We come from different places. We see change differently. And by supporting them individually with those differences, it tends to add a lot of value and help them navigate through change. Okay, so I know we don't have, we are 20 minutes away from the finish line today. So let me now go to interconnecting the different approaches. So here I'm showing what is called the Bridges transition model. It is a model that basically helps a business or individual with organizational change. What this is saying is that when we navigate change as an individual or as an organization, we go from uncertainty to skepticism to then exploration and finally commitment. There's an ending of the old way of doing things, and there is a new beginning of the new ways things are to be done from now on. So again, here you have in the middle, basically the 8 steps of John Kotter, and then also Kubler-Ross and how they both, work together here. So by establishing a sense of urgency, creating a guiding coalition, communicating the vision for buy-in, empowering broad-based action, generating short-term wins, and incorporating change into the culture, we are helping the organization navigate and going from the uncertainty change creates to the commitment that the new situation brings, right? Finally, the strategies for supporting individuals in times of uncertainty, Kubler-Ross, what I shared before, also helps individuals at their own pace, right, at their own speed, to actually have leaders, managers in the organization to help those individuals go from the uncertainty, the skepticism, going through exploration, and then the new commitment. And understanding that, again, people will be at different stages in different times, and having the skills, the competencies as leaders, as managers, to really understand how that works out and how we can better support people. It's really key if we want, for change to be successful. Okay. So just a couple examples of fairly recent changes. And when I was looking for this, I was making sure that these organizations followed John Kotter, 8 Steps for Change. So you have some examples here. And actually, Zoom, which we are using right now for our conference, right, is one I saw and I wanted to put it in here. So there was a surge in demand for video conferencing. We're talking about mainly the pandemic. Of course, it wasn't only Zoom. It was also the other platforms who had this need. But specifically Zoom, here it is. So the CEO, Eric Yuan, created urgency by addressing the situation of the sudden increase in the demand for the video conferencing. He built a guiding coalition with his leadership team and communicated a clear vision they designed to provide reliable and secure video communication services. They started in the early 2020, and it's still ongoing. We've experienced how, remember, we used to use Skype a lot. So there's Skype and Zoom and other ones. But, there is also an example with Teams, right, in this arena. But yeah, so Zoom is one of them. And their user base grew exponentially more than others. Daily meeting participants like 2,900% at the time of the article I was reading, which was 2024, last year. So the change is still undergoing. So remember, in the beginning, I was talking about it takes time. It really takes time. There is different steps that needs to be we need to follow, and it's important to focus on all of them. We cannot skip one of those steps because that would not work. So let's look at another one. For example, Hershey. In 2017, Michael Buck, first woman CEO in a 120-year history of the company, saw an opportunity to diversify the company's snack portfolio and to advance its approach to the diversity and inclusion, again, following those steps, as I shared before, from John Kotter. In 4 years, market cap has grown by about 14 billion. Board diversity, 58% at the time of the report. That was also 2024. Yeah, so 24. Okay. So maybe Microsoft, another one. So from a software-centric to a cloud service giant, boosted capitalization by 1.5 trillion, pivotal shift, new mission and vision, focus on empathy, humanity, and inclusivity. Again, following the steps we shared before, organizational, individual approach. Maybe one thing I could add here on the individual approach and how to implement it, which is, I think, one of the good values we can add here in this conversation, is about coaching. Yeah, as you know, I am an executive coach, and coaching provides that one-on-one conversation with individuals from an outsider, I know there could be also inside coaches, which also works great. It add a lot of value. When it is an external, in my experience, I have found that people open up and share, and they really, tell you how they feel, how they are. And because it's 100% confidential, they can do that. And then you, having the competencies and skills to actually provide value to them, you can help them navigate, wherever they are right now, to go through the different stages and align with where the team is, where the organization is, and where they're going. And it tends to add value and help in that change management.
And Mauro, if I can ask, you as a coach, what would you say is the most important mindset, behavior that an individual should have to be able to accept change? What is the if there is one, maybe there is not one, but if there would be one, I would say a kind of mindset, one kind of behavior that you would say helps.
A couple of things come to mind, and thank you for the answer, Nico. It helps. So in terms of the mindset, I would say that a growth mindset instead of a limited mindset, right? Definitely growth mindset. I would pinpoint something important here. What mindset maybe should a manager or leaders in organizations have? And so, because I really believe leadership is about creating the right environment for people to change, grow, learn, do more, do better, right? So how do we create that? I think by having a mindset of really being people centric and always enhancing your skills and competencies. So upskilling, reskilling, and really understanding about human behavior. I mean, like I said before, I have more than 20 years corporate experience. And as an employee, as a manager, as a leader, as an executive of corporations, I think one of the things I really loved the most was learning about people and people's behavior. Why do we behave the way we do? So pain and pleasure, we move a lot by what provide us with pleasure in many ways. That can be different things for different people, right? So understanding about human behavior from a manager perspective and leadership styles, so situational leadership and emotional intelligence, all these kinds of things, I think is something. I mean, I've been doing this for over 12, 14 years now since I started with this journey, let's say, and I keep learning things every single day, and it adds value and it helps me provide value to executives. But the more we do that, I think the more we're capable of actually adapting to the needs of a team in an organization, but also an individual. I don't know if I answered your question, but that's what was coming to my mind.
Definitely. I mean, I think at the end of the day, and that's my point of view, my experience through change is that it's a one-self decision. It's not something that can be forced by an organization. So it has to be driven, as you said, by leadership. And I think by a feeling of empowerment, which is that it's not something that is asked you to do. It's something that you decide to go through because you see there is a potential benefit for the organization, for yourself. And I think this empowerment might be the turning point in some ways of going from I said a blocked mindset to a growth mindset. But really like your answer. Thank you very much.
My pleasure. So yeah, just basically getting to the end of our conversation today. What I wanted to share is a couple of slides and reflections. Again, VUCA world, volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous, right? So navigating in a world like that could seem frightening even for some, not nice. Let's put it in simple words like that. Now, with the right mindset, as you were saying, Nico, with the right skills and competencies, we as leaders, we as from HR, right? We are here with HR people. I understand most of us. we can provide the resources, the tools, the mindset and competencies and skills to our workforce, individual contributors, but also managers and leaders, to really understand, how can we better navigate this constant change we are in, right? This world of volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous, constant change. So, and the way I like to see it is when we do provide this to our people in organizations, we actually help them navigate this VUCA world in a different way. And I think this, I love this picture because it's navigating waves at the sea, still. Now, how does that how do they feel, right? This team working together and navigating through difficulties and challenges, but being together as one. I think it's something we can do, and we can actually do a lot, I would say, to help from our corporate, from leaders to managers to individual contributors to feel during change times, actually good as a team.
Mauro, I'm not sure if you know, but I'm actually a seller.
Oh, are you?
And actually, I worked. So the previous image is from the America's Cup, the previous America's Cup when they were still monohull, and I used to work not as a seller on one of those boats, but I used to work for the America's Cup and for this kind of events. So and I really understand what you said about VUCA, and I think that the relation with selling and being into an uncertain environment you have to adjust to, where you don't have all the tools to manage it. I think it's a very good analogy. So thank you for that, and love the image.
Yeah, I didn't know you were involved in the America's Cup. That's good to know, Nico. Good. So finally, I wanted to say, we cannot change the direction of the wind. So change is there, and we're not going to change, right? It's going to be there. But we can adjust the sails to arrive to our destination, right? And I think that's a nice metaphor also for, what can we learn? What can we do? To actually do navigate change in a much better, being better prepared. So yeah, I think we are. I calculated this for almost an hour. This is my last slide, so I think I don't know, Nico, if you want to add something else, but for me, I think that this would be it.
No, I mean, thanks a lot, Mauro. I mean, as Enric, I think, said, a great presentation, very useful to build the two change models. And I think that's something that sometimes we tend to forget, that there is really two levels into change management, the organizational one and the individual one. That at the end of the day, the organizational change will only be successful if most of the individuals are driven and supported into embracing it, because we never force change. I mean, what I say is not totally true, because we see right now in the US a lot of forced change of people which are forced to do something else because someone's telling them to. But I'm not sure that's the way we want change to happen in our organizations. So no, really like the presentation. I think it was really really insightful. It's been a pleasure to have you here, Mauro, and we really appreciate your time. We have Claire, which says, my key takeaway, investing in individuals within the organization change programs. Totally agree. I mean, I think that, once again, what we were seeing at the beginning, and that's something I will do in my organization now and in the future, is when we want to set up change, ask people how they feel about it. Detect the ambassadors, detect the detractors. Make sure you adjust your communication, your incentive, your recognition to each of those different publics. We talk a lot about personalizing the employee experience. I think we should also personalize the employee experience into change management, if I may.
Love that, yeah.
So it's yeah, it's and it's always a pleasure to see this beautiful selling about pictures. That's something I really like. So yeah, thanks a lot. Just a few words about us for those who do not know VIP District. We are one of the leading organizations in developing and implementing digital platforms for employee experience. We are helping companies to their internal communications, rewards, recognition, discount programs, benefits programs. We'll always be very happy, obviously, to share more with you who would like to. Once again, you will receive the recording and the slides in the coming days. Zoom always need a bit of time to manage the change from recording to sending you the record. So once we'll have you, we'll share that with you. And we really hope you like this session. We will offer you other sessions over the coming weeks and months. Feel free to share that with your colleagues. Mauro, thanks again. It's been a great pleasure. And
My pleasure.
We hope we can still change together.
Pleasure.
Thanks a lot. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.